looking at the XRP chart, on a 3-day, it does show you that it is about to go higher. Now, there can be short-term volatility, but it does show you the way assets like this, which showed the same signal and then went up 500%. And another asset which showed the same signal and went up 1100%. So what's it going to be? Are we actually going to have these monster candles, or we're going to consolidate and then follow through? That is what we are looking for XRP right now. I'm going to explain what I see here, and it is clear that yes, we see all this, and anyone can say, okay, right now looking at the chart, it's easy to say something like that is coming. But remember, we had these calls way before, right? Before that started happening, showing the RSI is pointing us towards something. What is that? Look at it. We broke higher. We retested that. We bounced off and showed this thing, which is a clear signal of what's coming ahead. And that is just exactly what happened in the market. Now, yes, there are other assets too which followed that same direction when we knew, okay, this is coming. If we break this, look for that, and it just popped through, right? And in all of those cases, we were waiting to see the RSI giving us that signal. And here we are. Look at this. When the RSI was breaking higher, in terms of the price action, you didn't really get big candles blowing through the roof, right? You just broke through a level of resistance. And then you went up. That was the same case here in Fetch and then AGIX, showing us something like this. You were breaking through, then you started slowly going up. So what about XRP, right? We are going to break that down here. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys learn how to become the next top 10 person. Now, while we look at all this, we also have to keep in mind that the macro narrative is playing out, and it is really important to understand what's happening on the other side so we know what we are up against. Because the market right now, for XRP, you don't have too much volume, because a lot of these exchanges went against that particular asset. So what we want to see is all of them coming back in, but right now that's not happening until the case is solved. Now, before we jump into the price action, what's interesting here in the Bitcoin side of things is that look at the volume here. We had massive buying volume coming in. The price action followed that through, went through the sky. Great. After that, what happened? You had a candle here, which is literally a doji. It didn't do anything. That's like, okay, I'm not moving up, I'm not moving down, right? But look at the volume. It was selling volume. Still, the price didn't go to the downside, to the sellers, right? So the sellers are really trying to fight off the bulls here. So that's on the weekly. So on the weekly, it shows like bulls came in, they tried to push the price lower, but it didn't go that way. So it's like, okay, bulls are strong, bears are getting kicked. But my opinion is that it is really healthy for us to see a retest of this level and then a bounce towards the $34,000 mark. That is my personal thinking. But the chart right now showing me like, no. The weekly candle just suggested ye other ways, right? And I'm like, okay, let me go into details. I really want to look at the detail and understand what the market is going to do. Because when I'm going back in time like these, where we had similar scenarios, a giant candle to the upside, followed by a doji, it showed you similar structure. You had a higher volume, which pushed the price like this, boom. That is literally the bulls holding on that line. Great. Now we look at the next candle, which had significant selling volume, but sellers failed to literally push the price lower, or buyers were strong. Now, you didn't exactly get next two candles bursting through. It was slow, then you started moving up. So when we go into the price history, we get to see a lot of these in terms of the volume price action analysis, and it kind of gives us a clear picture. Now, yes, before we jump into the XRP side of it to see like, okay, how this is going to evolve, we have to look at the daily here. Now, why am I saying that? Look at the daily volume here. It looks literally like algorithmic trading, like you have the exact same volume 2 days continuously. And what is interesting in that, in my opinion, is like when you got the first candle here, that's literally a doji, even though you have buying volume up there, followed by which buyers came in and pushed the price up. But just before that, while we are looking at this, I'm like, okay, you got a little bit of selling volume and it was an engulfing candle. Then you got even little of buying volume. You got another engulfing candle that just switched it to the other side, the bulls, right? So it's like literally the market is shaking. It's literally confusing anyone and everyone. Now, why am I saying this? Because while I was analyzing this on a 12-hour chart for Ether, I'm like, okay, you are getting this. And look at the price here. That's really important. It's 1760. And then by the time the price is 1780, this is what you're observing. The volume just shifted, right? And the price is just a micro move there, right? So the market is literally showing you here that's a bullish candle, whereas just 30 minutes before that, it was like a bearish candle getting hammered to the downside. So while being in the market like this, it's literally a lot of manipulation, a lot happening in the market. So it's up to us to go down deep and try to learn so that we know, like, okay, the market is heavily manipulated, but we are looking to see, okay, what's the possibility out there, right? Now, here it is, XRP. We went up, we broke all the way up. We are now consolidating here. Now, what do you think is going to happen? It will be really healthy for us to come back down, test this 0.4 level, and then bounce back up. Great. Now, that's our thought process. Now, let me actually see what the chart actually looks like, right? We are getting lower and lower buying volume on a 3-day chart. The RSI shows us that it is right now at a level which is critical. It broke higher, it went up, agreed, but it's also right now at this previous level, which is a resistance. But when we say that, we also have to understand the MACD is crossing to the upside on a 3-day. So I'm like, okay, are we missing something, right? So we just have to go to a weekly chart and look at the same to see, okay, where are we right now? And it shows you we are at a resistance. If we manage to break this to the upside, things change. Now, on the weekly, we are still in negative category. On the MACD, we haven't actually reached the positive side. On the 3-day, we saw we are already entering that zone. And the RSI is like 67, above 65. XRP is really bullish, right? We started pushing higher when we reached that level in RSI on a daily. And right now, we can see that we are right now at 61 on the daily, which is not bad. But what's even more interesting in XRP right now is like, okay, we are looking at the same idea which we just used for Ether and Bitcoin, and coming here into XRP. We had a lot of volume, we went up, we had significant amount of volume from selling side, but the price didn't come back down to 0.38, 0.37. We didn't come that low, we still held that level, and we are still holding on to that level. So that just became a macro support right now in this micro zone, right? That's holding strong. Now, followed by that, we got the same play. A little bit of buying volume. And it pushed through towards like 60% of that candle, the previous bearish candle. Great. Then you got even little bit of selling volume, but you just erased most of the gains which were made by the last candle. So it's like, okay, bears are coming back. Then you got even more in bullish volume, but you just barely managed to close the last bears, kicking them out. So I'm like, okay, bulls are coming back in, but sellers are still there. That's why that happened. Then right now you're getting consistent volume right now. The day has just started, and the last day when it closed, you had buying volume, decent amount of buying volume, but the candle was not that big. So I'm like, buyers are getting exhausted, right? So lately we have to actually now zoom in to see like, okay, what the hell is happening there? And then we understand like, okay, even though we got a selling volume here, we actually pushed lower. Now, it is really important for us to keep in mind that this level which we talked about in the 4-hour candle last time is still valid. I'm like, we see a lot of different comments in the YouTube videos, right? There are people like, you don't really know what you're talking about. And I'm sitting here looking at the price action saying like, okay, we shared a macro thought process saying we may be wicking to the upside. Now, we don't know what's happening next. We are trying to literally see what is the possibility, right? We may break back to the downside. We may actually make a double bottom. We may bounce. We really don't know what's happening. But what we are trying to do is to see if history is repeating. Because when you actually go into a shorter time frame structure, this is what you're observing, right? You had this double bottom, you went up, now you're holding on to that particular level, which is actually significantly great in short-term narrative. Because then you can slowly zoom back out to see like, okay, are we looking for a possible bearish structure, or are we really looking at something which is evolving in a positive way? Because the way I'm looking at this, even on a 4-hour chart, is like, okay, you got this 2 candles, but you're still like this. So that can be a significant amount of consolidation. Now that's on a 4-hour chart. So in a number of days, it's just like 2 days. But if you break this to the upside, what do you think that is? Because right now, as we discussed previously, we broke this level, we went up, we didn't come down to test this level. That is bullish actually. We held this level of support and didn't come back down to test this level. Now, on the same 4-hour chart, when we actually look at the RSI, it is still holding, which is actually a positive news. Now, that's short-term narrative. Now, we literally have to go on to a daily and look at what the moving average is showing us. Because when the moving average is just turning back up, and when you're making a higher highs, it really goes interesting. Now, while we were doing this, we came up to this level and we were getting slowed down, right? And that is one of the main reasons why I go to a 3-day chart, a weekly chart to see what we are doing. And that's why while we are looking at this, 3-day chart is just showing, okay, you made one bottom, you bounced, but you're now trying to put in a double bottom on a 3-day chart. Imagine, when did we get this last time? No? We discussed about that scenario too. This is what happened last time when we actually created that double bottom on a 3-day chart. We had the same bounce. We retested the moving average. We bounced from there. We came back down, retesting the previous level. Then we bounced off. Then again, you got massive correction. Now that's SEC issue. But if you go back on the videos there, on this particular day, November 23, or the next day here, you will literally see me saying, okay, take profits, move out. I think something bad is coming. And that just happened. I didn't know SEC is going to screw Ripple, but the price action was showing like, we don't agree, there is something wrong happening. And that just happened. Why was that? One of the reasons was that this candle here, that's a inverted hammer. And once you get big bullish candles and you get this thing, move out, take profits. Now that's YouTube, right? You have that videos recorded there, so I don't have to explain more. Now we are going forward. Say you had this one run up, you had the next one, and the next one. So the microstructure of 3 wave was just completed. And where did you actually start off that rally from? That is something we need to keep the price pattern, the price structure into. We got this pattern where we broke off from. And I'm like, right now, when we are looking at the price action and the price structure, I'm like, okay, there is significant possibility if we plot that correctly. It looks something similar, right? Now that's on a zoomed out view. When we come in, try to make it a decent chart, we get something like this. Does that look interesting to you? Now you can ask like, why am I asking that question to you? I'm like, no, this is important. Because if you believe that is a breakout and you're following the structure, that means next 3 months is going to be critically important for all of us. Because inside that, we may actually see a giant run up, right? We'll actually, now we did this one, so we'll start from here. And when you ask like, okay, if I need to go through the entire three-wave structure, last time it took like 250 days. So you need patience, because without patience, it's going to be really, really hard to survive in this market. And yeah, when we jump on, we go back on the weekly, we see everything is moving up. You don't have to go against the wind here. And then you have to go on the monthly. Now, it's just another 5 days more to this monthly to end. And that's where it is even more interesting, right? When you're actually plotting on the monthly chart and you see you get resistance like this, and literally the price is breaking through right now. The price closing at 0.46 is confirming that breakout. It's a little bit of naive area to say, okay, that's breaking higher, but it is, right? But if we get above 0.48, 49, 0.5 range, that's a confirmed strong breakout, and the price can actually go up to 0.62. Now, there will be a lot of different opinions in the market for sure, but this is something we need to keep in our mind, because as we discussed, we just go into the price action here on a monthly, right? Look at the volume. You had literally a little bit of volume, which is positive. The price went up. Then you got somewhat similar volume in selling. You didn't go that low. And right now, you're pushing higher, which is on the game of like, the money is coming, the supply and the demand is playing out. So right now, the key structure here is going to be like, okay, you look at this. Ether is showing you a pattern which is kind of following through as we discussed last time. And if that's playing out, that means something is going to change. A lot of people believe that this asset can move higher because this is now the support range we are holding on to, right? On Ether, when that's holding a support, a resistance as a support right now, it is important for us to say, okay, I don't neglect that right now. Because right now, you have an area in Ether where the RSI is showing you that, okay, it broke above, it was volatile, but it is right now trying to break through that level again. So when we go on the weekly, we get a little bit more clear picture. Now, what is that? This was the previous range of support, which the RSI bounced from. That is clear. And then when we came back up, there happened to be a resistance. You got resisted at that level. And what exactly is the RSI doing right now? This is what it's doing. So I'm like, okay, the RSI for me on Ether doesn't actually look really great. It is trying to break higher, but the pattern for me looks something like this, which is like a rising wedge. So I'm like, okay, we need more confirmation on Ether. Like, I'm not in Ether for sure. And when we zoom in, we do see like, okay, it broke higher. It's trying to retest. If that retest and bounce holds, that now becomes bullish for this asset. Right now, if Ether as an asset is moving through, breaking this resistance and going all the way up to 2,500, that means you are watching the altcoin market following that structure. Now, altcoin market as a whole is literally volatile as we observe. But we have been below this resistance for some time now, trying to break through that level. And on the weekly, we just got like 2 candles, which was showing us really bullish stuff. But afterwards, we are slowing down. So right now, we're still at the resistance. We have not yet managed to break through. So if XRP doesn't move and break through the resistance, that means a large cap coin is now pushing through. So right now on the short term, if you want to follow it on the short term, then this is one of the easiest stuff to follow right now. If the price breaks 0.46, now that is showing you interesting moves, saying the price really want to move towards 0.48, 0.5. This is literally becoming interesting because on the other side, we are watching Bitcoin flirting with the level of 28,000. So literally look for the macro, understand the short term, and be a long-term guy. So the market can reward you. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done that already. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.